Hey guys, it's Fox here again with Martial Arts and Philosophy, and today I'm going to be discussing a question that was brought to me by my friend Jessica Wright. Jessica asked, do philosophy and religion coincide? So this is an incredibly loaded question, which is awesome, because loaded questions mean that there are multiple philosophical discussions that can be had over a single idea, which is great for this kind of channel. But in order to answer at least part of this question, I'm going to assume that we're talking about religion as it entails a creator god, which is a common theme in religions, especially major world religions, especially Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But it doesn't necessarily have to be isolated to those religions. Some people just consider themselves spiritual, and they believe in a similar sort of God without necessarily all of the religious text attached. So our traditional concept of a God is one that is omnipotent, meaning that they're all-powerful, omniscient, meaning that they know everything that has ever happened and ever will happen, and they're perfectly good. So what's the problem with that? Well, there's a big philosophical problem called the problem of evil. And so it goes like this. If all of those traits exist, that is, a God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and perfectly good, how on earth does evil exist? And to better grasp this, we're going to look at an example of a starving kid in Africa, right? If you had a perfectly good, all-knowing God, who's always aware of everything that's happening, he presumably knows that this kid is suffering and starving, so why doesn't he do anything about it? So now that we've defined that as our problem, let's look at some possible counterpoints to this issue. Can this be routed, this kind of logical attack on this traditional concept of God? So one counterpoint is all of the evil in the world could essentially be attributed to the devil, right? The devil does all the evil things, and God's not really responsible for that, so he's a scapegoat. But if our God is a creator God, then that means that he would have created the devil. And if he's omniscient, that means he would have known everything that the devil was going to do, and so it's still his responsibility. Why would he have created this thing in the first place? So it seems like even if God is being evil through this scapegoat, it's just a scapegoat. He knew it was going to happen, and yeah, all of the evil can't be attributed to just the devil in that case. Moving on from that, another question might be, well, maybe free will is more important to us than having evil on earth, and that's why this traditional concept of God, this God created evil, or continues to allow evil to exist in the world. So there's no real problems with that, but the main one is that having a God of this type doesn't seem to even allow for free will, because if the God is omniscient and he knows everything that you're ever going to do, and he created you, then how could you possibly ever make a choice? He knows exactly what you're going to do, and he created those things into you. So then it's impossible for you to make a choice. In fact, free will is impossible with an omniscient creator. He's going to know everything that happens from the beginning to the end of the universe, and he made you. So he's responsible, which is, doesn't seem great. Furthermore, there's one more point. There's the argument that maybe everything is as good as it gets. Like, us mere mortals cannot possibly understand everything that goes into the creation of a universe, and this is the best of all possible worlds. It just seems like it's not, and therefore evil maybe is just a necessary part of this world. And so this is an argument that was presented by Gottfried Leibniz, most famously in 1710. and it's on his Essays of the Goodness of God, the Freedom of Man, and the Origin of Evil. He also has an incredibly famous critic known as Voltaire, who wrote Candide in 1759, and basically just made fun of this whole concept. And those are both very good works to look at and read. But if you haven't, I'm going to present kind of a simplified thought experiment to capture, I guess, Voltaire's criticism of this idea. So just think about if you were creating a world. Note that you're not by any means perfect or perfectly good or any of those things that God is. Could you possibly imagine a world that is just slightly better than this one? Now, you're also all-powerful, so that means you get to make up any of the rules of the universe, and you can save anyone that you want. If you take yourself to this starving kid in Africa, which you presumably already built into this world, which is questionable already, and you are now faced with the decision of whether you're going to feed him or not, wouldn't you just feed him? It seems kind of counterintuitive that this perfect God is having a hard time helping this kid out. So that makes the idea that we're in a perfect world seem relatively ridiculous. It's possible, but it seems highly, highly unlikely. If we can think of a better answer, then surely a perfect God would be able to think of a greater answer. And so that, in a nutshell, so how would you answer the problem of evil? Is this truly a death blow to the traditional concept of God, or is there something we're missing here? Also, I hope that started to answer your question, Jessica. We're coming from the point of view, again, that philosophy is the critical and consistent questioning of our beliefs and the beliefs of others. Certainly there have been philosophers in the past that have believed in God and believed in other types of religions, and there are still many religions to confront to answer that question in total. But hopefully this is a start. For the rest of you, I'm looking forward to your answers, and I'll see you next time.